Guthrie City Council will meet Thursday, January 26th at 6 o'clock inside City Hall, 2nd in Oklahoma, if you want to check out the public meeting. They will reconsider the stipend amount that they voted 5-1 last week to go to the people with an election on April 4th, 2023. At that meeting, on the 5-1 vote, it was voted that they would get a stipend, ask the people for a stipend of $600 a month for their duties as city council members. Of course, there's 6 city council members and a mayor. Obviously $600 times the 12 times the 7 was like a little over $50,000. And that was on Tuesday. A week ago tonight, we were here on the Open Mic podcast discussing it, looking at it as it was presented. We had things, a lot of information that we didn't have. We had enough, a pretty strong amount to go with, but we didn't have specific numbers, but we do have some more specific numbers that kind of help look at that as well. City Councilman Don Channel joined Phil and I on the Chris Evans podcast. You can check that out on Second Banana Media as well. We discussed it for just under 2 hours. It seemed like it went really, really quick, but he was able to share a lot of his stuff on his side and how the council looked at that. I thought that was a really, really good conversation. Glad he was able to come up here and talk about it. And hopefully we'll have Councilman Don Channel come back here in a few days or a week or so and maybe discuss this city council meeting that will happen tomorrow.
Be great.
With that information, Phil, the city, I do believe it was the city staff that reached out to other communities, bigger and smaller, some the same size, and reached out to them and said, hey, what is the pay structure, if any, that your city council has? And as part of the packet, and we're going to go over that here in a second. If you need to look at it and study it yourself, you can go to GuthrieNewsPage.com and click that story there. That sheet is at the bottom of the story, so you can see it yourself and kind of take it as you will and kind of decide with that. I can tell you on the agenda packet that they will discuss tomorrow, there was a blank. So we don't know if it's $600. We don't know if it's $1,000. We don't know if it's $500. We don't know if it's $5 a meeting. That will be discussed tomorrow. Yeah. Of course, if you can't attend that meeting, it will be carried live on Guthrie News Page Facebook and Guthrie News Page YouTube live as well. So that's the information that we have at this time. And now Phil has a sheet that has some of the cities, big and small, and some comparable as far as population is concerned. And when Phil goes over these numbers, do remember Guthrie is about 11,000 in city limits. Honestly, there's people, I have friends that are just outside the city limits.
Right.
So, I mean, can we maybe say 15,000-ish?
Can they vote in city elections?
They cannot.
Well, then no.
Well, I don't know if these people can either, because I don't think is El Reno really 17,000 people?
That's what I would say, yeah.
Okay.
That's what it says here.
All right. Okay.
I would think so. I mean, I don't know. I didn't pull the data, but I know that Edmond is very close to what shows in the 2021.
El Reno population, Google, 1990. Yeah, less than that? Okay.
And they got this directly from the city clerks from these towns.
So they would know.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to say this first. I'm glad they're having a special meeting to discuss in greater detail what they want to do, first of all. If you joined Chris and I's conversation with Councilman Channel on the Chris Evans podcast, you'll know that one of my sticking points was what was discussed in that first meeting was a lot of comparables to Edmond. And then when we came back and talked again, when Dawn joined us, excuse me, I said, pardon me, the sweets and the blood test.
Yes.
1 second.
I think your stress level's down.
I get very emotional when I talk numbers. One of the big things that happened was I said, if they could change it, I'm not saying that's why they're doing this, but I'm saying it'd probably be good. I think you'd have a more likely chance of getting this passed if you did comparables with communities of our size and see what they're actually doing. And that was sincere, and I'm glad to see them. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying they're having a special meeting because of anything we said, but I'm glad they're doing it.
Now they have the council members have more information.
Correct.
Not only these numbers, but more information from the public. And that's the one thing that I was when I was talking with Donna here is, and maybe they did. I can't remember the answer, but go out and talk about this before you have a meeting about it. But he just said they kind of hurried and put it together without really. They had talked about that, not really.
Well, they had to get it on that night to get it on the ballot. Yeah. But. So I appreciate the city staff pulling these numbers, but these numbers came directly from the respective communities' city clerks. So we can, without question, say these are accurate.
Yes. Yes.
All right. I'll just give you a couple examples. Remember the original amount requested that they're having a special session. Now, they're not saying they're lowering it because it has a zero amount in there, but they're going to discuss about it. It's a blank amount. But Norman, Oklahoma, 128,000 people. They get $50 base pay per month. And then this was kind of an interesting twist. They get an additional $25 if they attend to all the meetings for that month. So
perfect attendance pays off.
So perfect attendance, they make $75 in a month. That's for a community of 128,000 people. Edmond, we've talked about that, 95,000 people. The mayor gets $1,000 a month. Council members get $700 a month.
Remember, Edmond has 5 council members.
5 council members. Moore, 63,000. They get $300 a month. The mayor does. City council, $100 a month. Stillwater, 48,000. The mayor gets $100 a meeting. So that would be in a typical month, $200 a month, right? In a typical month. City council gets $50 a meeting. So it'd be $100 a month in a typical month. Bartlesville, 37,000, $10 a meeting for the mayor, $10 a meeting for the city council member. Yukon, 24,623. They get 0. So Guthrie actually makes more than the city of Yukon currently.
Yeah.
With that big dollar.
Guthrie gets $1 a year.
Ardmore, 24,283. They get $100 a year and may receive health, dental, and vision insurance. That's mayor and city council. That they would, I believe, now what this doesn't say is, are they eligible to participate in it or does the city pay for it? Because it doesn't say, they just say
may receive.
Doesn't say who's paying for it, who's not. Could be the city paying for it, could be the individual council members or the mayor. I don't know. Claremore, 19,000 people. They get $50 a meeting for the mayor and the city council. McAllister, 18,000 people, $75 a month for the mayor, $50 a month for the city council. El Reno, 17,774, gets paid 0 for council and mayor. Chickasha, 15,000, gets 0 for both mayor and city council member. Glenpool, 13,000, gets paid 0 by both. Coweta, the mayor gets $350 a month, and the council members get $250 a month. So that's a town that's 1,000 less than Guthrie, roughly, and their mayor makes $350 a month, and the council makes $250 a month. Collinsville, 8,300, $3 a meeting for council and mayor. Piedmont, which another 5A school moving up, 7,800 people. Which that's interesting. A lot of people go to Piedmont schools or outside of the city limits, obviously, because their school enrollment's a third of this population number. But regardless, they get $35 a month, council and mayor. Hera, 6,300 population, $75 a month for the mayor, $50 for the council. Hugo, just over 5,000 people, it's 0 for both, and Lone Grove, just over 5,000 people, it's 0 for both. So if you just took an average of the towns closest to the size of Guthrie, right? If we just took, let's say, Claremore down, right?
Yeah.
So that's 19,000 down to 5. Quick math, I mean, for the council, probably, I mean, you got 50, Ronnie. Or excuse me, you got 100. If you do it by the month, you got 100. You got 50.
Or 33.
But some of those are by meeting.
Oh.
Okay. $250 a month. $6 a month. $35 a month. $50 a month. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's 11 people participating. So their average pay for those communities closest to us per month is $53.45. So
Quita's really is what spikes that up that high too.
Yeah, Quita's $250. Yeah. But I'm encouraged that they're having a meeting. They can talk through it, and maybe they come to a different amount, or maybe they decide they don't want to do it at all. I don't know.
Yeah, Jim Guthrie says, after hearing these numbers, why do they think $600 is a fair number? And to answer for a non-council member, I would say they didn't have the data as the
so then why put it forward again if you're not? If
Don explained that. He said and I think Don acknowledged, and I think by having this special meeting, they're really acknowledging that they need to go back and talk about it. So I think, listen, I think there was some good ground covered over the last week on this topic, and I think the council's trying to do what they think is appropriate in this. If they hadn't called for a special meeting to talk about it, and when we talked with Dawn, I didn't even know if that was possible. I didn't know if they could.
Yeah.
So I give a lot of credit to Dawn and the rest of the council for sitting down and saying, hey, we do need to circle back around and talk about this and make sure we're getting this right. So I think they made, like you always make decisions, you make decisions based on the best information you have at the time. I don't think there is a justification for $600 a month in any way, shape, or form for a community our size. But I appreciate them getting the data. They're going to talk about it. They're going to have a conversation about it, and we'll see what they decide. If they want to put that forward to the voters, then they can do that. And then the voters will have good information. They'll have accurate information, and they can vote how they feel is most appropriate.
Truebird says they're having a special council meeting, shows they listen to the people.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think they listened, and now we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have, again, that meeting is Thursday night, tomorrow night, for watching us live on January 26th, 6 o'clock, City Hall. Unable to attend, we will definitely have that live on Guthrie News page YouTube and Guthrie News page Facebook. If you want to watch that live, of course, the replay will be there.
And I don't know if you shared this or not, but this list is on Guthrie News page. Yeah. You can go there to actually see what I'm reading. You can actually see this list on an article that Chris published yesterday, I believe.
Yeah.
Last evening.
Yeah.
On this. So if you want to look at this yourself, Norman was added after the fact.
I got that email today.
Yeah, we got the email today, but again, Norman's 128,000 people, $50 base pay, and then they get an additional $25 per month if they show up for all the meetings. So $75, best case scenario.
Jeff Guthrie asks, is it open to the public? 100%.
Yeah,
I will be there. We might be see Jeff
all
Guthrie
meetings
there.
are public, city, county commissioners, school boards, all that good stuff. They are public.
Yeah, this will not be talked about in an executive session.
No.
I wouldn't think.
No. There's no executive session on the
So they're going to have an open conversation. I think if you want to, now on a special meeting, if citizens want to be heard, can they be heard?
You can sign up. You have to be signed up 5 minutes before
the meeting starts.
Okay. Before the meeting starts. Yes.
So if people have comments or that they want to make to their representatives, they can go down. If it starts at 6.
Yes.
Starts at 6. You get there at 5:45. Give yourself plenty of time to get signed in and say what's on your mind.
All right, Phil. So the way you look at it is there's 2 ways I look at it. Do they deserve to be paid for being a council member? Some cities say yes, some cities say no.
Yeah.
So you got to consider that. And then you also got to consider what will the citizens approve.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to get 50% on anything, but what has the best option of getting 50% and 1 vote?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, listen, you're going to get me in trouble again, aren't you?
I just asked a question.
Yeah, so I'll say this. I think they should not be compensated. That's my Phil Nichols' personal opinion. Doesn't mean I don't recognize what they do. I just think in a community our size, it's public service, truly public service. They can get their expenses reimbursed.
Correct.
That came out, and I think they should get their expenses reimbursed.
Absolutely,
I think if they're traveling, doing stuff, I think they absolutely should be reimbursed. I just don't think a small town city council position should be a compensated position. That's just my personal view. Obviously, some communities do it. Most communities our size, it's a very nominal fee. It truly is, I think, like Dawn said, to recognize what we're doing. It's a token recognizing what you're doing. I just don't think city council should be, because this is one of the concerns I have, and I want to be clear about this. I'm not saying this about the sitting city council members, although I do think one person's been pretty open that they feel that they should have it for benefits. But I don't think there should be any incentive other than service to sit on a city council for a community our size.
Too important.
And that's hard for me to say because I don't want these people thinking I don't appreciate what they're doing. That's just truly how I feel about it.
You're not talking about the people. You're talking about the position.
The position. I'm talking about just city council. Could be anybody. Could be any 7 people. I asked the 2 people running for
Ward
1 today what they felt about this, and we'll talk about that on another show. But I think it's important. I think what Don said several times, it's not about the money. I'm going to take Don at his word for Don, right?
Yeah.
But I just don't think you should get $600 and some odd either through insurance or through a stipend to serve a community of 11,000 people, especially when you look at this list, and it would be almost triple of what Coweta, not quite, it's more than double. Coweta's $250 for council members. It would be double which is the highest paid one of any of these comps.
It'd be close to City of Edmond numbers.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, when you add up the grand total, it's about the same since the mayor makes
11,000 compared to how many population in Edmond?
95,341.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's, and you look at schools near us, you say, well, okay, but let's look at geography. Coweta's way over there. Well, El Reno's close. One of the closer communities. Piedmont's close. Harrah's, in the metro area. Stillwater's fairly close. Norman's within 50 minutes. Moore is just down the road.
I do.
I mean, literally, it's triple or quadruple plus more than what those communities get paid.
I think I understand why, but I don't think the mayor and the council should have different salaries.
I don't think so under our form of government.
Yeah.
I
think that's pretty similar.
Yeah. I think their expenses, I think you should pay for their expenses, reasonable expenses. Yeah. I think those should be paid for. But, it's, to me, it's, and I said this last Wednesday, I think it's just it was a bad look. And the reason I said that is exactly where we find ourselves today.
Yeah.
Because immediately the whole town started talking about it. And it wasn't real positive.
Well, I'm sure every city council member has talked to a variety of people in the community. So maybe they got enough feedback to say, you know what?
Yeah.
Well, let's just table it and try again.
Couple years
and see.
Yeah.
But is there like our conversation with Dawn? Is there ever a good time to ask?
Never a good time to ask for a pay raise.
Yeah, never ask for a raise. And I think we had lunch the other day with the friends, and he brought up a good point. The city's doing great right now. We're making money. We're doing great. But what's if it goes back to what happened when Leroy first took the job?
Had to lay people off.
And we had to lay people off.
Yep.
And now we're really got to lay people off because we got to figure out a way to come up with $50,000 to pay the councilman.
Yep. It's a real thing. That would be
in order for that to get changed, you have to go back to the people. That's another $6,000 to $8,000 for the election just to get it on there, and then you got to try to figure out to lower stuff like that. It's just not a good look. And I agree with you, Phil. I think it should be a service thing, and they shouldn't get paid. Yeah.
Now, what I did tell Dawn too, and now after looking at these numbers, I think if they wanted to have a token $50 a month.
Is it worth?
Worth the? Yeah.
Well, no, I understand, but honestly, when you look at the like-sized communities, the average just over $50. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be bothered by it. I'd still vote no for it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be bothered by it.
What do you think they're going to do? I don't think they know what they're going to do.
I'm going to tell you what I hope they do.
Yeah.
I think I know what they're going to do, if I were to guess.
I hope they table it. I don't think they will. I think they're going to come in with a reduced number.
Yeah. I bet they come in with like 250 or something like that. They're going to throw 250, 200 out there.
I think they're going to throw 250, 300 out there and see what happens.
Which is still, yeah.
I think my guess is either $250 or $50 a meeting.
$50 a meeting, yeah, yeah. And and like I said,
I haven't talked to any of them about it.
No, I haven't either. But I think it makes for interesting conversation. But again, I want to say this: I'm very, very happy that they decided to have a special meeting and sit down and have a deeper conversation and give the public an opportunity, now knowing what it is. Even it was on the agenda. It's not like anything was slid in there.
Oh, no.
But everybody doesn't read the agenda every week on what's posted, right? Yeah. Probably should. But I give them a lot of credit for saying, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's have a special meeting. Gives us a chance to talk about it. If citizens want to be heard, they can come talk about it and see what happens.
This is what I would, when you have issues like this, it's good to talk about out in the public, have public meetings about these months and months in advance. That way to get it out there, all the information out there.
Right.
Then you decide to but now that didn't happen. And so now it's
out there.
It's out there. Now they're playing catch up. And it's just, it's going to be hard to overcome, I think. So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
We shall see.